banana slam jam.
So, first time here. Give me and everyone else a little bit of backstory.
Yeah, I've been playing Dota since like 2013, just casually. I love Dota, but busy with work and 3-year-old daughter, so I don't get to play more as much as I'd like to. So play about maybe 10 matches a week. So kind of focusing on limited hero pool, a lot of Weaver, Offlane. My backup kind of is Mars, Axe, Underlord. Right now, focusing on Weaver though. I want to up my MMR and improve my game.
Okay. So I saw in your summary you pretty much only want to do Weaver today.
Yeah.
Okay, sounds good. Let's. I think he's kind of a non-traditional offlaner, but he can work. So we'll make it happen. You have the replays already sent to me? Okay, I'll pull them up. I'll share my screen. Should be able to see it on Discord.
I see it.
Cool. Any other comments you want to make before we start?
Yeah, so after the replay analysis you did for me back in November, I've definitely improved my laning stage. And I will say I really only play Weaver if I have a good support. I think he can work if with good support, at least at this MMR, it's pretty easy with good support. But yeah, only if I have good support. Otherwise, I'm playing Mars and Axe and Underlord, and I'll have you probably help me with those in the future. I will say my tread switching kind of sucks, so I'm going to practice that more. So you'll see it's kind of non-existent. It's one of the things I want to work on, all those little efficiencies. But yeah, otherwise, I'm excited about some input. I think my early laning is looking pretty good. Some room for improvement, of course, but really want to focus on like itemization, mid game, late game, like where I should be, what I should be doing, and so forth.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah, man, I'll be honest. I think unless it's like a ridiculously grief pick that most heroes can work up until maybe like 5-6K, somewhere around there is where you'll start running into issues if the hero's not like the perfect for a role. Weaver's been an offlaner in the past, like at competitive level. But like if you were to get good enough for it to be a problem, I think we could probably, you know, worry about that later. So
Okay,
I
awesome.
think you're fine to like if you enjoy playing Weaver offlane, it's not like you're griefing or something. So that's perfectly
Okay,
fine. I definitely believe it could work.
nice. And
So
and, and
go ahead.
I'll say my goal is to have enough impact on the game where the enemy carry is like hopefully like way down the list on farm, right? So if I have a significant impact on the game, I feel like I'm doing my job, you know?
Yeah, yeah. At the end of the day, the thing you don't offer is like the traditional team fight stunner. So you're more of the way you play the map will be really important. The little things you do. Weaver's a consistent kind of ramp up kind of hero rather than get specific items and go for timings, buy a blink and smoke. That's not obviously what Weaver's going to be doing. So
Okay.
we'll focus a lot more on the little things when it comes to the map movements and stuff rather than it's not as much about the team fights. Like obviously your fight execution is important, but okay, let's
Okay.
go ahead and get into the game here. So yeah, just a simple thing. You got the first creep aggro right here, which is good. And then it's all about that second one. A lot of people
Okay.
are good at getting this first one. Now just do it again.
Yeah.
Like right there, do it at the tail end. If you guys can get this, so you know how the mechanics work, right? They chase you for
Yeah.
2.3 seconds, then they de-aggro, and then after a total of 3 seconds, you can aggro them again. If you can get that window down perfectly, just a little CS like that, they're not going to deny it because that creep will be chasing after you and you'll get it. So it's really about,
Okay. Got
like
it.
you said, the little things like tread switching. If you can get that internal clock going, you'll just especially if you're playing a ranged offlaner that is relatively weak until like maybe level 2 or 3. It'll help you get past those early levels a lot cleaner.
Okay. Okay. Great. Also, my buddy's playing support here, so if you any comments for him, he'll of course love that as well. He'll probably do a coaching with you in the future. So if you see him doing something like obviously wrong or whatever, just like let us know.
Yeah, sounds good.
Thanks.
Let's see. Okay. I'll focus on you, but if I see something real bad.
Yeah, appreciate that.
First blood. Thanks and have fun.
I think you use your Sakuchi way too liberally.
Okay.
So,
I I'm Gabe
Oh, I
Newell.
read this.
You've
I'm going to
just
show you what I
destroyed
mean.
my blood. Thanks and have fun.
So, every... How do I word this? It's actually a weird concept to vocalize here. Give me a second. I'd say it mainly boils down to the fact that their entire lane is about slows and then spinning you. So the use of your Sakuchi unnecessarily on any point is really dangerous for you. It also... in my Jug Smurf game, I talked about like the threat of the Omni Slash was more powerful than the Omni Slash. For you, it's like the fact that you have Sakuchi at any point means that they don't threaten you, which means you can hit them more, you can be more aggressive, you can get more CS. But like every second that your Sakuchi is on cooldown is like a potential second where you get gone on, you lose a lot of health, you die, all that kind of stuff. So I just want, based on what I'm seeing, I would love to see a higher value on what it means to have Sakuchi on cooldown. Like that should
Okay.
mean more to you based on what I'm seeing here. Like to get that one CS here, it just isn't good enough to like they should just go on you here. You have no mana, and even if you mango, you had no Sakuchi for a bit. Like if they were good, they'd be like, what the fuck is this Weaver doing? He doesn't have Sakuchi. The Lich would nuke you, the Jug would spin on you, and then best case scenario, you're mangoing fairy firing and Sakuchiing right when it's up, and you have no salve. You see how that's like what
Okay.
should have happened, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So a lot of times in low MMRs, it's really hard to teach you guys this concept if it doesn't consistently happen to you. Like it's gonna happen sometimes, but I would say the definition of these type of things when it comes to MMR is like the higher up you go, the more likely it is that they punish you for it. Like once you get to like the really good players, like when I say really good, I'm talking like professional players. Anytime I overstep like for a single moment, that's when I know I'm against a good player because I just die or take like a bajillion damage. If it's like an 8K player, 7K player, they'll do it like 95% of the time, but not every time. Okay.
Okay.
So
yeah. Makes sense.
your support pulled. That was good. She's taking a lot of... Okay. Let me rewind a bit here. I want to see this because it does matter from your perspective too.
Okay.
Okay. So how often do you play with this specific guy?
All the time. You actually replayed us when he played Shadow Shaman and taught us a lot. He was soaking up too much farm, and our game's like seriously improved since he like picked up that piece of advice. So yeah, thank you for that.
Yeah, cool. So what I want you, since you guys are duo queuing a lot, then I will focus on a few things that will matter a lot for you guys individually that will help you two play better together. So this is an example where if you guys want to understand... I need to fucking stop this spin, it's so annoying. If you guys want to... Wait. Okay. If you guys want to understand, like, dual lanes better, I want to ask you a question. So, you need to be able to assess these permutations of the lane every single time. So, it's when the supports are battling, who wins? Just 1v1. If everyone's there, who wins? So, 2v2. If it's 2v1... how good or bad is it, one way or the other? And if it's the other 2v1, how good or bad is it? Okay? So, my question for you is, how important is it that you and Snapfire, like, link up your abilities between your two heroes? Like, how important is it? Like, how well do your two heroes synergize?
Since they don't have a stun, if my Scoochie's up, I don't feel like it's that big of a threat. So to me, it wasn't as important. And we don't play a lot of Snapfire, but he plays a lot of Shaman or Ogre, which are both banned. So this is like our third Snapfire lane. So we're kind of still learning to duo with Snapfire. So I appreciate
I'm just asking, like, what do you think here, though? Like, what do you think? Like, how on a scale of 1 to 10, where 10 is like amazing synergy and 1 is like not very much synergy, how much would you say like Weaver, Snapfire have when they are together in a lane?
I felt like maybe a 4 or 5. The cookie's kind of nice.
Yeah, like you have Sakuchi and a cookie. Yeah, exactly. I'd put it around there too. What about Lich Jung, though?
That to me is very impressive. Thankfully, I had Scoochie to get away, which you're right, I didn't value enough. But to me, they have good synergy because Lich pulls you in, and then the spin on top is a lot of damage.
Okay, so it's like an 8 or 9, maybe even higher, maybe even like
Yeah.
9.5. So here's what I want you guys to both realize, and it can be done with communication too, is that if that's the case, all the movements you make when it comes to Sakuchi and all the movements he makes when it comes to his positioning has to prevent them from engaging you guys 2v1. So earlier,
Okay.
your support was not nearby. You used Sakuchi. Like, your support didn't have level 2 yet, so he couldn't, like, cookie save you or anything like that. And you used Sakuchi and put yourself at risk. Now he is by himself contesting a pull camp while you're over here. Like, you're not coming, right? Like, you're busy, right? So earlier, he was, like, over here when you were here. But now you're up here and he's over here. And you're not coming. And he needs to play, like, so passive here. Like, he needs to be scared out of his fucking shitballs, like, standing all the way up here. Because if he stands anywhere else, it's giving these two the opportunity to go on you guys and punish. And it's like, if they were slightly faster about it, it's like your Snapfire probably dies here rather than just being a liability. I guess this guy...
Yeah.
What did he do? Where is his... He spun creeps? Okay, I mean, this says enough, yeah, okay. So, this is an example where all their fuck-ups are making you guys look better. But that is... What I see a lot is, like, it makes me uncomfortable watching that you guys are consistently separated, but potentially vulnerable to them going on you together. So, just something to think about. I don't know how much you can do with it immediately in this coaching session, but if you guys, like, you guys should go into the lane each with a decent understanding of how important it is you two link up, and how important it is, like, the opponents link up. It's like, if X plus Y... Like, if X and Y are just... If it's like, is it 1 plus 1 equals 5? Or is it 1 plus 1 equals 2? You know? Like, that's what I know that's not how math actually works, but I think you get the idea. Like,
yeah.
How much what's, like, the synergy factor we got going here? Okay, so, since Lich and Jug have failed to link up, you guys are winning the lane, which makes sense, because your heroes individually, like, you're survivable, Snapfire trades pretty efficiently, so you guys are winning this lane. Okay. So I played Offlane Weaver against Jug. I actually played this. I'll give you some advice. So we'll think about your items. This item, if you can't understand items right now, you will never understand them at 30 minutes. So we'll talk about items now, but we'll also talk about items later. So my question... Okay, I'll just tell a story. Fuck it. I've told this story before, but I'll tell it to you. I played Weaver offlane. This was like 7 or 8 months ago. It was against like rank 200 Immortal. And I was like, yeah, this seems like a sick fucking Weaver game. So I picked Weaver offlane. He was playing Lifestealer, similar to Jug. And I was like, yeah, Lifestealer's really bad against Weaver. He's like relies on slows. That was back when he had open wounds. And I'm like, yeah, I'm going to pick Weaver. The Lifestealer went like Bracer Chainmail. And guess what that meant for me? Like, what do I think about the Lifestealer's first 1,000 gold being a Bracer and a Chainmail? How does that make me feel?
Yeah, you're going to do very little damage, right? That's a lot of armor.
Okay, but what do I care about him at all?
I guess you focus on farm at that point, right? Because you can't do a lot of damage to him.
I can't do a ton of damage to him, but what's his threat level to me? Scale of 1 to 10.
I'd say very little. You can always get away from
literally 0. Like, it's actually 0, right? So my question would be that if he went Bracer Boots, what does that make you think?
A little more threat, but you can still get away from him, though.
Yeah, but say my Sakuchi was... say I used my Sakuchi for a creep, right? What does him having boots mean for, like, the end of my Sakuchi duration? I have 4 seconds that I'm invis, right? What if
he's a lot more of a threat,
Yeah, what if I'm invis for 3 seconds when I kill the creep, and he's running at me during the tail end of my Sakuchi? How does that make me feel?
Yeah, he's just much more of a threat.
He's much scarier, right? So, in this lane also, it's a similar idea, where if Jug were to go boots... Okay, let me just tell the story. So I went against that Lifestealer. He went Bracer Chainmail. I couldn't do much to him, but I absolutely free farmed the lane. and I got level 6 before he did, and it felt really good. Strong lane, whatever. I free farmed, and I was like, dude, Weaver's fucking great against these type of lanes. Weaver out. 4 days later, I picked it against Arteezy. Okay, I picked it against Arteezy, and he went like starting items straight into boots on Jug. He went starting items straight into boots, and he consistently was forcing me to use Sakuchi and then walking past the creep wave, waiting for me to come out of it with boots.
Wow.
That's how he played it in comparison to like the rank 250 Immortal, okay? So what I want you to think about here, because I look at your items and you have so much net worth already, like you have like 1,500 net worth, that what could go wrong in this lane? Like, you not having boots is like a statement that this Jug sucks. And I hate that, you know, like, so it's, for me, it's like, I understand it's incredibly difficult to learn these lessons because this Jug built these items. It's like you buying boots only matters if the Jug bought boots. Like, if he doesn't buy boots, you're not going to learn that you should have bought boots. But what I want you to realize is the only thing that goes wrong in this lane is that the Jug follows you during the end of your Sakuchi when you try to go for a creep or something, and you come out of your Sakuchi, you get nuked by Lich, and you die to Jug with boots. So for me, even though Weaver has Sakuchi, this is a lane where I would love to see you have boots, because the only thing that can go wrong is them all-inning you. Like, they're not trading with you, right? Like, Jug's not a threat to you. It's like maybe you'll hit for a bit less damage, but if you're able to hit the Jug when he's not a threat to you, that means you'll hit him 10 extra times. So it'll add up to more damage. Does that, like, thought process make a lot of sense to you? Okay. Go ahead.
I just didn't see him as a threat, so to me, I wasn't even thinking about boots, because he wasn't a threat to me at all. Like, he just wasn't playing well at all, so I didn't think about, getting away from him.
The thing that I've learned is that if I treat people like they are a threat if they were playing it properly, like, meaning like, okay, what would I go if they were playing this lane properly? I'll just buy those items, because if they don't play the lane properly, you're going to win anyway.
Okay.
Like, meaning if you had gone boots here and this Jug just plays like a potato the whole time, you're still going to win. You're still going to win the lane. And I would hate for you to not buy boots here and then have, like, the next Jug play the lane properly and then just kill you. Or, maybe win the lane a bit better. Let me rewind here. I was busy talking to you. Okay, so my question for you is, like, do you guys, like, communicate? Because what I see here is that your Snapfire, like, walks up and nukes, and then you bug as he's backing off, and this stuff keeps happening. So the reason, if this was a pub, I'd be like, whatever. But you tell me you play with this guy a lot. So what I want to see here is when you're playing offlane, if you're going to focus on a small hero pool, I want you to consider what your support's positioning means to you. Okay, like, so right now, if your support's like this, I'm hitting this creep from here.
Okay.
Do you see how big of a difference that is, but yet you're literally doing the same thing in the lane?
Yeah,
so,
that makes sense.
So, like, if he's walking up aggressively, you have to as well. And this is a thing that my viewers, when they're watching my games, will say, why didn't you just tell him to be aggressive? And it's like, did your Snapfire do any crazy aggressive move right here? Like, was this some move that the Snapfire made right now? Is this some fancy move?
I know,
he just walked up and nuked.
Yeah.
But he was positioned aggressively. And I'm like, and what my response is, guys, I can't tell my teammate to position aggressively every single moment that I position myself aggressively. Like, so this is, I'm using this as like a slight way to bitch at Twitch chat. But what I want you to understand is just think to yourself, at every moment you're in the lane, every creep you're farming, you can be hitting it from back here. You can be hitting it from over here. You could be literally hitting it from right here. It's like if Jug had bought boots, that's what he was doing. I really wish I'd almost like saved this RTZ replay because it literally like showed. I went like 0-4 in the lane and just got dumpstered. So,
Ouch.
but yeah. So my point being is that if you two can talk about this a little bit, and it really shouldn't have to be him communicating anything or you communicating anything, but like this just awkward use of abilities, I think could easily be ironed out if you two focus on that a little bit. It requires both of you to just individually do the right thing to get this better. So
Yeah,
okay.
that makes sense.
So let's fast forward here. Fast forward. Jug is just spinning like crazy.
Radiant's top tower is under attack.
And we communicated there. I knew I could kill him, so I asked for the cookie, and he cookied me in.
Radiant's current
Yeah, that was good.
sacrifice.
Cool.
You had a level advantage. You were level 6. You hit the power spike. That was very nice. The fact that you're allowed to get away with no boots in this lane is hilarious. Like, it's just... it's the dream for Weaver. Like, Weaver's a hero that would, if in an ideal world, would prefer not to buy boots. So, like, I get that, how you've like, come to this conclusion to buy these items. It makes sense to me. It's just, Oh, okay. Well, they ult you. Okay. Let's see.
Hunting bounties.
And I'm punishing Lich now because he's no threat to me. So every time he shows, I pretty much kill him. So nice.
So this is just a huge support no-no. You guys won the lane. You're pressuring the tower with a catapult, and he pulls.
Okay.
This should
Yeah,
just literally never happen.
got it. You know, protect the catapult and push with it, right? Yeah. got
Yeah,
it.
you guys could have been very aggressive here. You still had your ultimate, so you could have like tanked 600 damage under tower and then time lapsed it off, kept your catapult alive an extra 5-6 seconds. Like that shit adds up so much, and if you guys can eke out that bit of efficiency, so let me think about this. Let me take a swig of my monster. When... Okay. This is how 90% of lanes go in Dota. First, like, 5 or 6 minutes is all about who out-trades and out-CSs who. It's like, it's a battle of resources, it's a battle of little miniature maneuvers like creep aggro and all that kind of stuff that add up to somebody coming out on top. It's actually pretty uncommon, even at the highest level, that a lane goes very even. And even if the lane does go very even, at 6 minutes, it's often still favored for one guy. It's like, even if we both have 30 CS, some guy is going to be favored. It's like, in your lane, Jugs level 6 doesn't really mean much, because if you have level 6, you can just time-lapse off his ult, and we don't give a shit. So it's like, in this lane, if the lane was about even, this specific lane, I would imagine you should control the lane, but Jug can kind of just farm without caring too much about you. If he gets level 6 before you do, he can actually threaten you if you come out of Sakuchi at any point and he can Omni-Slash you. On the other hand, if you get level 6 before he does, you're like diving him like crazy, like you did. So like, what I'm trying to get at is that the first 6 minutes is about getting to a point where you're the guy that like it's like a race to 6 basically. All things aside, there's a lot of other components, but it's a race to 6. After you get to that point, there's usually like this 2 or 3 minutes, other than maybe the 5-minute catapult wave, where you try to pull the lane back and you just try to sit it here. There's like this 2 to 3 minute window where what that does is you're getting lane and he's not, right? And it's just like, okay, now that I'm level 6 and he's level 5, I'm either diving him and killing him like you did, or if I keep the lane back, I'm kind of suffocating him. And the reason why this is so strong is because when he's like level 5, he's not going to efficiently jungle or some shit, right? He's going to have to use a lot of mana. He's going to take a decent amount of damage. So even if he gets the creeps, he's going to have to like ferry himself some regen. Maybe after you kill the creeps, you could go fuck with him because the amount of resources you have to invest in a lane creep is far less, right? So if that's the case, that's why you usually keep the lane back this far. Right now in this game, at 10 minutes, if you are winning your lane, I want to see every ounce of your body and your support's body into shoving this fucking lane into their tower and like shoving it down their throats. Like it should, like their tower should die to attrition. Like over the course of 10 creep waves, taking 200 damage a creep wave, he's CSing under tower with you diving him and Snapfire nuking him. That's what this lane should look like.
Okay. Yeah,
that's
it's actually
like
a question.
After 8 or 9 minutes.
Okay, yeah. That's actually a question I had for you is when do you start pressuring when you're winning the lanes? That makes sense.
It's
you said
I can't give you like an exact formula, right? But
Okay.
what I'm telling you that you can look out for is that it's around 5 or 6 minutes that you start like using your dominance to suffocate him a bit. But that's because usually that's when the catapult wave dies. So you're like, okay, I've pressured a bit with the catapult wave. Now I'm chilling, right? And then what it is at that point, like I said, it's not efficient for them to jungle. But also, you're just level 6. So it's like, okay, that's pretty decent. But it's like at 9-10 minutes in the game, suddenly you're level 8 or 9. You've gotten Tread's Falcon Blade. Like, you've gotten those 1 or 2 like small but impactful items. So that's why it's usually around like 9 or 10 minutes. And if anything, the finale, the pinnacle of this whole thing is the 10-minute catapult wave, right? Because that's where what I want to see is like if you watch high MMR games through this lens. I try to tell people that like to think like, okay, now that I've told you this, watch some high MMR games. Just watch what's happening to me as a carry when I'm behind at 10 minutes. Just watch what's happening to me. Like I'm just like fucking dying underneath my tower, and at the very least you're in my face hitting me while I'm CSing, and it's just like fucking annoying. You're a bug on my windshield, and I'm not running you over. You're actually just fucking keeping me from doing what I want to do. So, in terms of this analogy, so what I'm seeing here is just an overall tone of you trying to keep the lane back. You're denying a lot. You're like staticking. And at the highest level, the way you're going to continue climbing reliably, when I say highest level, if you want to continuously climb with a hero like Weaver, it's going to come down to this Juggernaut becoming a liability for his team. If he's getting less farm than he should, that doesn't make him a liability. If he's dying underneath his tower to you 4 times over the course of 6 minutes, that's him being a liability. So I'm not telling you that you have to kill the guy. Let's just be very clear. I'm not saying BSJ told me whatever it took, I'm going to dive this guy and kill him. My point is that I want that lane continuously shoved into him with the intent to also slowly but surely kill his tower, right? Like with Weaver, that's like the only way to play. Like that's what the hero does. It's like when I play offlane against Mason Weaver, my tier 1 tower dies from 5 to 10 minutes slowly but surely. Like over the course of that time, my tower is dying. Like that's what happens to it. It's not all at once. Like Weaver's not like a Death Prophet or a DK or something that's going to kill my tower in one go. But he can continuously shove the lane with Sakuchi, especially when he gets level 7, right? Because of the cooldown. Mm-hmm. And he also is incredibly survivable. So he can just keep doing this over and over and over. So it's just a mindset issue that I see here. There's no like specific mechanics that I have like a problem with. It's like the fact that you're staticking it near your tier 1 tower. It's something a lot of people I see do in your bracket from mid lane too. Like the enemy Storm Spirit will just be jungling, and they're staticking the wave on their hill. And I'm like, dude, I want you to force that guy to defend his tower and then die while he's doing it. You know, Jug has no D-push. You know? Like, he actually has to stand on top of the wave spinning it. That's like the only way he can D-push you. I want this lane shoved in continuously. I want this exact thing happening underneath this guy's tier 1. And then you, like, you know, you do that. Oh, shit, I got tracked. Time to time-lapse, you know? Like, you force 3 heroes there. I think you get away with it because you're so far ahead. But, like, the idea would be if you force this bounty hunter here and you have 3 heroes, at that point, if the mid-tier 1 was still alive, I would just Sakuchi towards the mid-tier 1. Like, that's what I would do. Because if you put pressure on one tower, here's what happens, guys. I'm giving you some hypotheticals, but if you said you're showing up for multiple coaching sessions, this will probably be the topic of one of the near future ones. So, like, the way Dota works is that if I'm telling you you need to put way more priority on pressuring this tower, what I see in my, like, when people are emulating my Smurf games, or when people are emulating, like, me saying, hey, you guys need to pressure towers more, what they do is pressure the tower, and guess what happens? What do you think happens when they pressure this tower? I actually am curious what you think happens. Give, like, as thorough answer as you possibly can. I'm actually curious.
Wait, when they pressure or when
Like,
we
if
pressure
I
the
tell
tower?
a guy who's never put priority on shoving a tower continuously to shove a tower, what do you think happens? As many possible things that could go right or wrong that you could think of.
Okay. So without any experience, I mean, geez, all sorts of things. You know, people rotate and kill them. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, that's actually the number one. There's a lot of different things. But the number one thing is, guess what? When you force a tower, the enemy team sees their Jug getting dove by a Weaver. Even if he's not going to die necessarily, they're like, holy shit, my Jug's getting dove by a Weaver. And they're going to randomly react to you. Like, that's what they're going to do. So the problem that a lot of you guys have is that you don't know how to read the enemy's reactions because you've never forced them before. Like, you know, I a lot of the people I've been coaching recently that are like around your MMR, I'm like, guys, you got to go force some reactions. And then they'll come back and they're forcing some reactions and then they just do the wrong thing, right? So what I'm saying is, every hero capitalizes differently, but we're talking about Weaver today. So Weaver doesn't make any grandiose moves. He doesn't gank. He kind of just pokes and prods you until you can't keep up with him anymore. It's like, so if I'm Weaver, I'm going to force this bounty hunter bottom like he did. Like, if I'm diving this tower. Like, I'm going to dive. Okay, I'm going to play this out for you. Say this exact thing happens with Lich that happened over here, and you dive him back here. Bounty hunter TP's in, Lich sucks you in, bounty hunter tracks you, you time-lapse, and then you just run towards mid.
Okay.
Now what? They have 3 heroes bottom tier 1, and you're just Sakuchiing towards mid. It's like, okay, that bounty hunter might follow you, but he's going to be way slower, right? And then you do the same thing and say, I'm acting like the mid tower is alive right now, you know?
Okay.
It's like the mid tower is alive, you do the exact same thing mid, somebody else rotates mid. Where would you go after that? You'd go top, because you had just forced people bottom. So then you, like, go to mid, they react to you there, you go top, and at the end of the day, there's 3 heroes chasing you. And it's like, now what? When I play against really good fucking Weaver players, I feel like I have to chase them everywhere. Like, it's so fucking annoying. It's like, when you're back here, I don't have to chase you. I can just let you be a Weaver. But if you're, like, diving tower and I react and you run here, like, that's an annoying Weaver. Like, that's really annoying to me when I play against that kind of shit. So, this is hypothetical. First step, prove to yourself that you can force some reactions. And then I want you to realize, simply, you know, pushing towers 101, that you are going to force reactions. You're probably not going to always know what to do with them, but just be aware that they're coming.
Okay. Yeah.
That's going to be the big one, because a lot of people are, like, shocked by how many people now come to their lane suddenly when they didn't used to have to deal with that. Okay, so it's something to think about. Okay, so end up getting the tower, long drawn out. A lot of these are hypotheticals that these are problems that if you don't pressure, it doesn't necessarily look like you're doing anything wrong, but you're not playing above the skill level of your opponents. You're kind of just letting them be 2K MMR. You're not forcing them to make the right play. You're not forcing them to stop you. You're kind of just like, we're all 2K together. I'll get my good farm, but you're also going to get yours. If you're diving under tower and forcing 3 heroes, people are going to fucking panic, dude. Like, that's what all my Smurf account games are trying to show. Whenever I play carry, whenever I played offlane, like, people freak the fuck out because they're not used to having that Weaver diving their tower. Like, you did it to the Lich one time, so I clearly know that you know how to do it. So it's not the diving part that's the problem. It's the consistent shoving into their tower that will set you up to continuously do that. You may have to buy yourself more regen. You may have to like be more careful with your abilities. You may have to be more efficient with tread swapping and wand usage when you drop your items and shit. Meaning like you have to push yourself to the limits. But guess what? All you have to do is push yourself to your limits better than that jug. You don't have to do it at like an 8 or 9K level. I know I'm giving like a whole speech, but this is a big mindset thing that I want to see be one of the focuses of a lot of my offlane players that I've been coaching. It matters for other roles, but it really matters for offlane when you guys are winning your game, winning your lanes, because that's how you solo win games as an offlaner. Okay. Let me rewind here.
That was, as they say, wicked sick.
So,
and that was my bad there. I mistimed my ulti. It was in my head. I thought it was up and it wasn't, so that was my bad there. I should have, yeah.
No, so I totally understand this. I see that your ultimate's like, 5-second cooldown when you died. When you go for an aggressive play, whatever hero you're playing, you should always know your way out. And it's become a really important habit for me to consciously think about my way out when I do something. Like, I'm not saying like some elaborate escape plan, I don't have the blueprints to the prison with my direct, what vents I'm taking. I know if I'm Jug, I'm going to spin TP. I know if I'm Weaver, I'm going to time-lapse away. It's like on every hero, I know their general escape plan. So when you go into a gank where you're diving this, or not a gank, but where you're diving this Lich, you're making an aggressive play, you should have a trigger in the back of your mind that says, do I have time-lapse? Right? Like, do I have it? And so it'll just make it so you never do that with time-lapse on 20-second cooldown at the start of the engagement. Okay. It obviously is quite bad if you're 7-0 and you die, but that's okay. Shit happens. It's not like it's a game-losing play. Let's check out what you do here. You're going to TP back bottom. Okay.
Was it the right call because lanes are pushed? I thought TPing bottom was okay, or should I run bottom?
Let me fast forward.
Look to their middle tower.
You want to be here?
No, nope.
If you had this guy right here and this guy right here, would you want to be here?
With 4 of them, 3, yeah, then I'd be okay.
Okay. So, if a reasonable engagement were to happen here, you're telling me you would want to show up.
Mm-hmm.
So, what do you think my answer to you is?
So I should run bottom then, save the TP. Yeah, okay.
All it takes is to consider if a fight were to happen in the other lanes than what you're going to, would you be willing to show up to it?
And the answer is yes, because I'm strong. So yeah, I see that.
No, what I'm saying is though, when you ask me or you ask yourself if I'm supposed to TP out of base or walk, I would say the first step is to assess where you want to go on the map. Like, so if you tell me you want to go bottom, seems reasonable to me. I'm not gonna fault you there. The next step is, am I willing to go other places if a fight breaks out? Like, as an offlaner, that's pretty much always the case. Like, you'd almost always be willing to fight, especially when you're, 7-0 or 7-1, right? So in this case, that's a pretty consistent
dominating.
would I? Like, am I okay to do that? And that's a question you can ask yourself every single time you respawn, every single time you go back to base to regen. It's like, I'm perfectly fine with exactly what you're doing here, but I emphasize to you guys what makes the best players the best, but what you can do is just make yourself more capable to be in more places. Like, by TPing bottom, your only good play is to push that tier 2 tower. That's like the only effective thing you could do on the map, right? But if you walk bottom, you can threaten that tier 2 tower and potentially be a menace in all of these team fights that like are possibly, or like skirmishes or whatever, that are going to break out. So this is good pressure. Until you know how to be aggressive on the map. This is good. Took the outpost, took tier 2s, there's letting you have it.
Killing spree for playing Dota 2. Double kill.
I think this is
usually
a very risky play.
You think so?
How do I word this? Mike, I'll ask a series of questions that can get us thinking on the same page, okay?
Okay.
Did you guys need that Aegis right now?
I thought we could take it. I thought we had time.
Do you guys need that Aegis right now?
We don't need it.
Okay.
No.
Is there a time or circumstance where there's no way in fuck they're ever getting that Aegis from you?
If we pushed in lanes more, then they couldn't get it.
No, I'm saying if you walk into the pit, there's absolutely nothing they can do about it. Is there a time when that's the case?
Not right now. I mean, we're stronger, but not by a lot.
But like, you gotta work with me, buddy. What's like the most powerful tool on your team?
DP ulti is down because we just used it mid.
DP ultimate.
Mm-hmm.
So the way I look at it is, do we need this Aegis right now? And if they were to contest us, it could be bad. Like, it could be bad. Like, look at the result of this. You are fighting with no DP Aegis, or sorry, no DP ult. Your Lifestealer has this, and you have this. That's like the one time, if the opponent had ever made a move, that they could have come back into this game. Like, they're just letting you have it, right? Like, they're actually just... My point is, if they play badly, you're going to get the Aegis in the next 3 minutes. If they play well, they could contest you there and maybe get a game-winning or game-turning fight. But if they contest you 2 minutes from now, or like a minute and a half from now when DP Ultimate's up again, dude, they're just going to fucking die anyway. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they're just going to die.
Yeah.
So, when I think about Roche specifically... It's do we need this Aegis? And can they fuck with us if we do it? And is there a point in the game where they absolutely can't fuck with us? Like, meaning, once you have Death Prophet Ultimate again, they absolutely just cannot fuck with you. On other heroes, it's like maybe a BKB. It's like maybe I'm a carry. If I have BKB, I'm unkillable. Or maybe, our offlaner needs to finish his Vlads or something. It's like there's different reasons that Roche could go wrong. I just see that and I'm like, damn, I would have loved for him to just go bottom, DP push out mid lane, Lifestealer and Witch Doctor pick up top runes, you pick up bottom runes, we push 2 lanes in, 60 seconds from now, Death Prophet Ultimate's up again, and we just go kill Roche right there. Like that's how I would have liked to take it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes total sense. Yeah, thank you for that. Like, I know now not to take tier 2 mid before Roche, typically, but DP ult is
in this case, you were really strong and you had DP ult, so you did it. I don't think that's bad.
Yeah, but I hadn't thought about waiting for Roche until DP ult's back up, and that makes total sense. So yeah, thanks for that.
Okay.
So Oh, go ahead.
I word this? Dude, it's funny how many concepts I run into that are like unique, but I understand them myself, but I've never had to explain them. So this is a concept I've talked about before, but it's like a bit different take on it. So I would say there's a lot of common things that a lot of people come into my stream saying, "Hey BSJ, what makes a 2K player 2K or whatever?" And I would say around the 2 to 3K MMR bracket, one thing you guys do glaringly more than like 4K or 5K players is that you'll win a fight like this. You guys will expend crucial cooldowns, whether that's an ultimate, a BKB, or something, and you win, you take the objective. You guys have now claimed like an extra 3 or 4K net worth as a team, right? Like if you look before this fight, it was like a 3K advantage your guys' way. And then now it's a 6K advantage your way. And you guys just keep fighting. Like you guys just keep going. And I'm just like, guys, claim the fruits of your labor. Go hit your timings now. Like, so what happened was you got your Deso, you guys are being aggressive, and now you got a team fight win, and now you're flying out your Mithril Hammer, right? But the Mithril Hammer to you, does it do anything? Like, does it change anything? It makes you do 24 more damage, right? Like, that's what it does. So, relatively speaking, in the last, 3 minutes, you've accrued 2,700 net worth, but it hasn't done anything. Do you see that?
Yeah.
Like, it hasn't changed anything. So, it's great. You hit your power spike of the Deso. You took bottom tier 2. You ran mid, took a tier 2, won a team fight. Now go hit some fucking creeps until we get our timing again, right? So that means there's this concept of grouping up and then splitting up. Grouping up and then splitting up. And usually by grouping up, you force the opponent to group up, which then allows you to split up, right? Because if you don't do the first part and you just split up, the opponent just kills somebody, right? Like, that's kind of what happens. They're split up, you're split up, and they try to kill somebody. So you guys do the group up part, and what needs to happen is that split up part, and then all of the objectives you guys are doing right now are correct. There just needs to be like a minute or two of chill.
Okay.
So the reason why I'm like rewinding all the way to this point is because you guys are invading their triangle, and this is you.
Yeah.
You see this, right? Like, this is what I see is this, and I see this.
Yeah.
That's what I see.
Okay.
So I see you 200 gold from a timing, and I see like a ton of gold on the bottom half of the map, right? So I would say for you guys, to break it down simply, from 15 to 25, most team fights you win are efficiency team fights. Meaning you kill people and you capitalize on those fights by maybe getting one objective, but then splitting up and farming way more than they are. That's like 15 to 25 minutes. Okay? Because it's kind of similar to the laning stage where you need to have that like 6 to 10 minute mark where you're ramping yourself up to be strong enough to then kill their tier 1. Okay? Now, from 15 to 25, your guys are playing the map in a way that you can become strong enough to kill their tier 3s. Like, that's what you're going for.
Yeah.
Eventually, right? So every time we win something outside of their base, it's usually with the goal to accelerate ourselves towards that tier 3. So it's like, great, take mid tier 2. You're correct. The next objective is Roche. You correct. After Roche, go into their triangle. But don't just force it down, don't just force feed it. Like that's what I want. I really want to see next time that you come in, you telling me you consciously sought out farm after winning a fight, like around like 15 to 20, somewhere
Okay.
in that window.
Yeah.
You're like, yeah, I went and farmed, I hit my BKB timing, and then I said, guys, go take Roche, go triangle, or something like that. This happens a lot in my bracket in the sense that your team will force it without you, and I'll just be like, guys, like, can we just wait for my BKB, please? Like, it'll still happen in pubs. That's something that doesn't tend to happen in professional, but I will say to you, it will happen far less if you are not putting yourself there. Like, if you're just farming bottom and saying, hey guys, I'm farming a BKB, I'm almost there, maybe you're going to have teammates that still do exactly what they're doing right now. And you know what? It's up to them. Like,
Okay.
if they want to do it, fuck it. But what I'm telling you, objectively speaking, is you have accrued 3,700 net worth, and you are no stronger than you were 3,700 net worth ago.
Yeah.
Then that's how you have to think about it, right? Because you're farmed, but like effectively right now, your net worth is 7,200,
Okay.
right? But when
Yeah.
you get that BKB, suddenly you're 3K gold ahead of anyone on Radiant. You know what I mean? Like that's how I want you to see it. So okay,
Got it. Makes sense.
Let's fast forward a bit. Yeah, you get greedy for your BKB. Luckily, he didn't track you.
Is under attack.
Okay.
Bounty.
Radiant are scanning for enemies.
Up top. Clean that up. Okay. Gonna connect to your team. Okay, that all looked pretty natural. You got your BKB, take a fight, swoop across the map. Okay. Got some dust. Didn't quite work out. It's okay.
And next item I go for Shard here because it gives me the CN biz for
Yeah,
bounty because
Weaver
it-
Shard's quite nice, yeah.
Cool.
All those were good moves. That was
Okay,
good.
awesome.
You're pretty far ahead, so I am optimistic that you will play the map correctly when you are ahead. Since you play a lot of Weaver, it's like, this is good. I expect
Okay.
it, but that also is a sense of like, if you meet my expectations, that's better than like 90% of the Dota community. So you know what? There you go. It's a compliment of itself. Sometimes I feel like I expect too much, like my supports to buy smokes. Like, sometimes you expect too much. But okay, this game looks pretty over to me unless it goes crazy long. I don't think it does, right?
No,
Okay.
it doesn't. Yeah.
Let's check out the other one. Make sure we get
Okay.
a bit more later into the game, unless that one's in pretty swiftly too.
Yeah, so I played 3 matches before the session, and they were all pretty stompy because I really put into place like what you taught me in the replay analysis, and I'm pretty low MMR, so it seems like those things like help more at lower MMRs. So that was like what we just saw was like the least stomp. This next one, I played kind of badly early game, I think, so there'll be some areas for improvement, and we can still talk about whatever you see.
Yeah, for sure. So, I've just realized that a lot of Dota is thinking things that you've never thought before. So I think last game, you didn't get punished for anything that you did wrong in the lane, but I did see a lot of potential holes in what you were doing. We kind of talked about like vulnerabilities you left yourself up to. So if you do die a few times in lane here, it'll be nicer because we can talk about them with proof rather than theoreticals.
So I didn't expect Pudge here, but I went back and got the rune. And then I'm leaving, and I'm almost out of resources, so I'm kind of mad. I'm thinking, okay, I'll come back through and do some damage. That's Gucci, but then I overextended, and I died there. I don't know how bad a trade that was. I got the rune, did some damage, but I still died, so it was not a good trade, right? Like, I shouldn't have died there.
You should never willingly die for the rune. I'll lose lanes in my bracket because I die there. So, I think the biggest thing here is I'll ask you, if they nuke you with Sim and dagger you with Spectre and hit you twice, what's the lane look like?
Yeah, it's not looking good, and it's in their favor.
No, so I'm asking you, like, what's the net result? Health, mana, how you feel?
Yeah, they're going to do a lot of damage to me, so it's harder for me to threaten them, so...
And if you're sitting at half health, how does that change things?
Yeah, I can't be as aggressive. I can't go for, last hits denies.
You
It's
might
much harder for
even
me.
not even be able to walk up at all, because they could just nuke you twice again and then kill you, right?
Yeah.
What do you think I'm getting at here?
Yeah, so I shouldn't have gone for it.
No. We're ignoring the rune engagement.
Okay.
There's only one thing in your screen that you can change from 0 minutes to now. What am I getting at here?
I'm not sure. Help me out.
Your items, dude.
Okay.
So if I ask you what happens when CM nukes you, Spectre daggers you, and you're sitting at 250 health, what do you need?
Salve.
Yeah, it's just that simple.
Okay.
Like, so what I noticed in your other lane was your disaster aversion was like a 0 out of 10. Your overall times where you're supposed to be aggressive was good.
Okay.
Right? Like, you were being aggressive, you were constantly trying to be aggressive, but considering the opponent's threat to you was very minimal. Like, you didn't do that. So when you go into these lanes, I want you to practice what I've tried to get almost everyone to practice, just envisioning both teams throwing their spells out level 1 and what the result's going to look like. Like,
Okay.
who's coming out on top? How much health and mana are you going to have left? How much health and mana are they going to have left? Is anybody at potential kill threat? You know, like some lanes, if you're against, Lich Jug and you're like a Mars, you might actually die to that, So my point is that your items for the first 600 gold addresses that exact thing. Like, that's what it addresses. So it's like,
Okay.
if you don't need a salve, great. You don't need a salve. Like, I'm not telling you need a salve every single lane. But like, if you're concerned about the base damage level 1, like you're worried about getting out CS, your build would look really good here, right? But you're against a Spectre. He has 50 base damage and you have 58. So you don't necessarily need to go hard on the damage items. It's more about going hard on making sure you don't get bullied out of lane by a CM and a Spectre. So just something to think about. It'll carry over to helping you also play the lane better with Weaver. Because Weaver does have pretty high base damage for a ranged hero. So if you're against a low damage carry, then you can definitely afford to consider going more regen. But if you don't need the regen, then great.
Got it.
Okay. So, is this your friend too, or no?
Yeah, it is.
So, I don't know how often you guys do this. Are you aware of how bad this was, or no?
Well, yeah, usually we pull back a little bit further, so we're out of tower range. This was a mistake on his part. Usually we deny a couple of creeps off it.
Okay, good. So, as long as we're fully aware of this.
Yeah.
So, okay. Let me take another sip of my monster as I put my pinky up.
And I'll have to say, I think Spectre got frustrated with what was happening here, so I'm actually happy my support helped me win lane. Because what happened here, and he pulls in a second, Spectre gets frustrated and actually leaves lane, which was awesome. So it became an easy lane shortly here.
Okay. But
I realize that Hiram and Mars, that's not going to happen, of course.
No. So, what'd I do? I guess I reloaded the replay. There's some weird bugs with that shit. Okay. So the common misconception... Okay. I don't know what's up with me. My brain's just functioning slower today. So, when your support last game, your Snapfire, we talked about how, I guess in his replay last time, he had soaked a lot of XP from you underneath your tier 1 tower, right?
Yeah, yep. And fixing that helped us so much.
Yeah, so why is it so, why is it considered soaking? Let's actually,
if he's not doing... Yeah, if he's not doing something useful, if he's just sitting there, then we consider that soaking.
Exactly.
Right?
It's considered soaking because you can get that XP regardless if he's there or not, right? So when people drag like this, what you guys need to understand is if you drag like this and you retreat like this, what do you think this Spectre is supposed to do? If this Spectre, let's go to his player perspective, sees you backing off and sees this guy doing this, what should he do?
Well, if there's no creeps for him to take, he has to go to jungle, right?
No, there's a creep wave here.
Okay, yeah, after the creep wave he would though, right? Yeah, but he's under tower at that point, so he's having a hard time getting last hits.
Why is he under tower, though?
Because I'd pushed it into him.
Why doesn't he literally just walk this way?
Okay.
And drag it into this?
Yeah, he should, yeah.
Like, but why doesn't he? He's just bad,
he's
right?
Yeah, he's
But
a bad Spectre, yeah.
here's the beauty of it. So when I get really angry at my supports, when I'm right here as an offlaner, and the support's just like sitting here soaking, it's not only angry to me that they're not helping me and they're taking my CS, but guess what that means if they're not helping me? There's probably 5 other things on the map they could be doing that is more impactful than whatever they're doing right here. Like, by default, if they're not helping me, then most things they could do that isn't that would be helping. Like, more helpful, right? So how is that, like a support sitting here, when you're farming here, any different than your support dragging and you walking backwards to him? Does your shaman need your help here?
So usually at this point he would take off and be out of XP range, but it kind of got messed up because it was in tower range. I think it kind of messed up both of us a bit. So normally we'd be a couple inches lower, and I'd be getting denies and last hits both.
No. So I understand what you're going for. I am going to now rework your brain about this. So what am I saying is bad that you're back here? Why am I saying it's bad you're back here? What should you be doing right now?
Well, I'm not pressuring Spectre, right? I'm not contesting his farm.
Okay. So my point is that this job takes how many heroes?
Just one.
Okay. So what could either of the other of you do right now? Pressure Spectre, right?
Yeah, one of us could pressure Spectre, yeah.
If this was a clockwork, do you think I would be okay with him handing the creep wave to you and him walking up and fucking with the Spectre?
Yes.
If he is a Shadow Shaman, how do I feel about it?
No, because he can't threaten Spectre.
Oh my god, dude! So the emphasis that I give to you and everyone else is that the Spectre, if he's good, first off, guys, carries like hack out here. If the opponent just lets you tank it outside a tower, just walk the creeps into the creep camp and get an extra 100 gold at 1 minute in the game. But assuming this is played correctly, one of you farms this, and the other one fucks with them. Okay. How do we decide? It's whichever one of you fucks with them better. If that's you as the offlaner, guess what? Your 4 position's getting a quick level 2. Like, and he better fucking carry you with it. He better come back and shackle this fucking level 1 CM and kill him. You know what I mean?
See, that was our thing. We thought it was bad to take like XP away from me. But you're saying in this case,
what I'm saying is, since you duo queue a lot, I can talk to you about this because and I want to be very clear going into this. I didn't expect you to understand this, okay? But I know that you would, if not explicitly mentioned, because that's kind of how I learned this stuff. Like, honestly, it's not calling it like insulting your intelligence. A lot of this stuff, it's like, if not explicitly laid out, is kind of hard to see. So my goal for you here is to understand, between the two of you, you and your 4, the goal is to get as much XP and gold total to be more than theirs.
Yeah.
So if you guys can ever do something with one hero, you should always do it. Most of the time, the creeps being outside a tower, you have like a 4 position like clock, or your Snapfire that was nuking the large camp in the other game. Like, in that case, honestly, it might have even been better for you to be over there. But since you were like just getting free farm as Weaver in that other game, you were just like back here getting free farm. Then just sit back there getting free farm. But in this case, it's like, I don't know how else to explain it. Really think to your guys' selves. One of you goes here and the other one goes here. Who does it better? Like, that's all I got. Like, the more aggressive move is going to determine which one of you is supposed to be doing what. Meaning, like, in this case, the more aggressive move is fucking with them. You do that better. So guess what? You're the one fucking with them. Because the way you guys did it, you just didn't fuck with the Spectre at all.
Yeah.
Right? So we can have the same net gain for you and your shaman, while the Spectre's getting fucked with. That's what I wanted to see. So it's like you get the same amount that the Shaman should have gotten there, but the Spectre gets more out of this overall exchange. So
Okay.
we're,
Yeah, that makes sense.
That's the mindset we're going with. So it's never bad to give your 4 levels if it's like free for him. Like look at that level 2 Shaman, like that was impactful. Like, it's not like him having levels is bad. It's like if you're griefing yourself for the sake of giving him some levels, like please God, be a bit more selfish. But okay, so your Shaman pulls. Okay, let's see here.
And this is where I guess Spectre got frustrated, so he actually switched lanes. And I didn't realize it for a second. Then I saw Pudge, so that's why I backed over here.
I think this is a misclick, right?
Yeah, it was.
Okay, I'll just assume level 26 Master Tier Weaver doesn't go 2-1-1. Okay.
Oh wait, no, hold on. I'm sorry. Wait, what are you asking about misclick?
Your skill build.
Oh, so actually, I find I often get kills doing Swarm. It's situational, but oftentimes I do get more kills getting Swarm fairly early with Shadow Shaman especially.
Really?
Yeah.
Putting extra points in it?
No, I'm sorry. No, just 1 point. Did I?
I'm saying you put a second point in it at level 4.
Oh yeah, no, sorry. That was misclick.
No,
sorry.
that's what I was
Right.
considering.
Yep.
That's what I was considering a misclick.
Yep. Oh, and let me explain that too. Working on efficiencies, I recently switched to using keyboard only for skill builds, and it's helped a lot, but I still make mistakes sometimes. I've been doing it for like 2 weeks.
Okay,
so
no, that makes sense. I was just saying, I assume this is a misclick.
Yeah.
Like, that's the end of the conversation. Like, we don't have to worry about it. You don't have to, like...
Cool.
If you're doing some new, mechanic shit and we're ironing out, I don't really care.
Cool.
Meaning, like, I don't want you to overthink it. You don't have to feel bad about it. Do your thing. Get
Thanks.
better. It's all good. Okay, so... let's fast forward here. Spectre is now tilted for some reason, I guess.
Yeah.
I do think you overuse bugs, though. I think it happened in last game, too. Your bugs, I want you to view these as a Sakuchi and a half.
Yeah.
That's, like, what I want you to view off this. So, your Sakuchi, let's theoretically say you left bugs at 1. Your Sakuchi is 125 damage... and probably like an extra right click, right?
Yeah, so when I used them on Crystal, had I hit her, I would have killed her there, but I missed her, so that's why it wasn't worth it, obviously, in that case. Because I saw Pudge left, so I can easily kill her if I get bugs on her, because I can tank it under tower, but I missed him, but just by a smidge.
I see. Okay. So here's a crazy idea for you, then. That's a good point.
So you just barely missed, right?
The way you did this... Okay. I understand what you were going for. Now that you tell me. What do you think I want to say about this?
Well, I should have hit Crystal and killed her, but I don't know. Go ahead.
What is the negative to Sakuchiing on top of him and then bugging him?
Yeah, you're right. Actually, I don't know. You're right. I should have saved it.
No, the reason why I actually... This actually explains a lot to me. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Because you did it in your other lane, too.
I do.
So... This will be a lot easier to fix than I imagined. Okay, so basically what you're doing is you're envisioning an aggressive play, and you're going for it, and then you either miss or the play ends up not panning out. It happened in the other lane, too. So, like, in the other lane, I think it was when you and the Snapfire were on different pages, right? Like, the Snapfire backed off a bit, and then you bugged, and then nothing happened. So, in this case, it's similar. But what I want you to realize is if you Sakuchi on top of this CM, and you're, like, right here, and then you can bug him, that's like 100% going to go the way you planned it to go. If you go for the bugs from here, it's like, if it hits, great. If it doesn't, so you're not in a position for it to be good yet. It's like, if your Snapfire lands a cookie on that jug last game, and then you bug him, it's like, damn, you guys got an engagement. You haven't like forced an engagement yet. I feel like bugs on Weaver is specifically like they have to fight me now and they can't. That's how I feel about bugs. It's like I'm like committed to fighting this Weaver. Like I can't run away at this point, and now I just have this stupid bug hitting me for and removing my armor. And I'm like trying to run away. Every time I play against a good Weaver, I know it's a powerful use of the swarm when I feel like I have to run away from this guy and also be attacking the bug. I'm like, bug attack, run, bug attack, run. You know, that's the situation. So put yourself there first. Make the guy be running away from you, not in a spot where he's already away from you. You see what I'm saying?
Got it.
It happened in the other game too. So that makes a lot of sense when you tell me. I actually didn't even notice. You definitely would have killed him there if you could have dove with the bug tanking tower. So that's I like that you went for it. It's good that you went for it.
Yeah, I do that like half the time, but I need to work on that and do it like 100% of the time. So that was my bad.
Yeah,
so
it's just discipline. Same idea here. You just did it again. I don't even, if you do that more than 0%, that's like enough for me to tell you it's bad.
Yeah, like if I would have bugs right here, I would have killed her, you know. So I should have had that.
There's just no reason when you have Sakuchi to not bugs from literally on top of the guy. I think you also don't buy raindrops enough. Raindrops are an incredible item on Weaver, and you've been against a Lich and a CM. So it's like basically a salve. Actually, you know what? It's one of the few things Kyle said correct all day today. Guess what you would have lived here with?
Raindrops, right?
Yeah. Kyle said
it's
a salve that's in combat. And I said, wow, that might be the smartest thing Kyle's ever said on panel. Like, because he's correct. That is what raindrops end up serving as. And for Weaver, it's even more amazing because you're wanting to spam Sakuchi off cooldown, if possible.
Yeah.
You know, at least as close to cooldown as possible. And giving yourself that extra bit of mana regen can be really nice, right?
Yeah.
So
totally,
I will say that Kyle on panel today was saying, I feel like nobody buys raindrops. It is an incredibly underbought item. And I will say that when I did my Quakefoot coaching sessions, one of the like 4 basic but game-changing takeaways I took was how often he said I should buy raindrops. Like, he didn't say, like, what do you think you should buy here? Like, yada, yada, yada. He wasn't, like, coaching me. He's like, queue up the raindrops. And I'm like, he's like, queue up the farming raindrops. That's what he said. And I was like, the farming raindrops? What the fuck? Like, you know, I never buy farming raindrops. And it's just like, oftentimes on heroes that use mana to accelerate themselves at 4 or 5 minutes into the game, like a lot of them, Weaver's 100% one of them, raindrops are literally a farming item that is a salve. It's like a salve that you pay an extra 115 gold to help you farm. Do you see how that plays that way, right? It's so nice.
Yeah.
So please buy more raindrops. You definitely should have bought them in both lanes you were in, and it would have saved your life there. And even if it doesn't save your life, dude, it's mana regen. You know, it's like, okay, you know, that's the beauty of raindrops is there's really no, they're never a waste. The only time they're like kind of a waste is when you're against like a clock and he just like flares them off or something. Like that's about the only time they're a waste.
Okay, no, that's awesome. Because more mana is so important on Weaver, so that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, it's pretty cheap too. You know, it's not like you end up accelerating your timings anyway for the amount of gold you spend. So yeah, you had some weird situation with the Spectre, so we're gonna fast forward. He kind of griefed his own lane, so once again, you kind of got handed your lane. I really do think that when you get to like 3K-ish, your biggest issue is going to be the first 5 minutes. I think you're a little bit too willy-nilly with your abilities, and then you're also like I said, you're not disaster averted very well yet. So we'll get there. We'll get there. I think your overall decision-making of aggression last game was like above the 2K level. So it's like, usually if I think something's above the 2K level and you're still 2K, it's like, there obviously has to be something else that brings down the average here. I do believe your 5 minutes is the weakest part from what I saw, but we're going to keep fast-forwarding. Did you have a game recently that you were losing on Weaver? Or is that, do you not have the material for me?
Not really, no. So I played 3 games before this, and like all 3 were stomps. It just went really well. But I was also hyper focused on doing what you taught in the replay analysis, and it's amazing the difference that makes. Just little things I already knew, and now I know a lot more. So
what was like the #1 game changer for you?
So
You're telling me like it made a big difference. I just want to hear your.
So one thing is having the support not soak XP. That's just so huge, right? So having a support that doesn't soak XP, but is still really effective. Because if I get like 1 level advantage on them, I'm just so much stronger, right? So that made just all the difference in the world. And then right here, I died to Pudge. I learned something right here. I was baiting Pudge because I was going to use my wand when Shaman got closer to lock him down. I didn't realize Pudge's hook did 360 damage, so I learned that lesson. And again, raindrops here would have saved me too. So this is a lesson learned right there that I learned preparing this match for you.
Okay, so. Hey, I'm gonna make you like 400 MMR higher Weaver player, okay?
Okay.
When you are chasing somebody, Sakuchi on top of them and bug them, literally on top of them. Your bugs come out behind your hero bottom. I don't know if you like bugs, but like if you're on top of somebody or they're even slightly behind you, if you cast bugs, it'll land like 100%. I don't need to see you miss any more bugs. You're a level 26 Weaver player, dude. Stop!
All right, sorry.
Stop treating the bugs like a slow hook. You know, you're like trying to skill shot the guy. It's like this isn't a skill shot. You can land it 100%. You've done it like 4 times. Like you see the hook. Yeah, hook does do a lot of damage, but it's funny to me that you see that. I see you fucking misusing bugs again.
Okay, I gotcha. I was using it for vision, but you're right. I should have just waited because it's into it on top. You're right. But to answer your question too, though, in the replay analysis, you said just be more aggressive in lane, like and obviously get every last hit, and every deny possible. Don't ever be AFK in lane, basically. Position better. So I focus on those things. That's helped my laning stage a lot.
Nice. Yeah, no, I it's not always like clear to me. I don't remember everyone like person for person, but I do remember your offlane Weaver replay because there's not there's not too many of those.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's like your aggression's good. This is exactly how Weaver plays the game. It's hard for me to know. It's like the thing is that when I try to teach Dota, like when you guys watch my Juggernaut Smurf game, for instance, right? That is Dota when it's going according to the formula. It's like everything's perfect. It's going according to the formula. This is how Jug likes to play. I get to play my game. And it's like if you're having a good lane or just a good overall game, there's a lot of players that don't even know that formula, right? There's a lot of players that don't. I will say most of the time, though, when I see like 2K players, if they hero spam, they usually know the formula. Like they usually know just by playing Weaver, 400 times or something, that this is if I'm winning, this is where I go. It's kind of like trial and error. You kind of just you train yourself to figure it out. You kind of just come to the conclusion. So the way I see you play the map on Weaver is really good. But the problem is I don't actually know if you know how to adjust. Like that's what I'm seeing in this game. Like I don't know. Like I can tell clearly you know where to invade, you know what to do with your hero when you're ahead. But I can't say for certain how much your understanding goes past the formula. Okay. So it's like if you're gonna hero spam, I would actually rely for you to gain MMR. I would rely on you knowing the formula for all the small hero pool that you have. And for Weaver, this is definitely it, where you take the top tower, you go invade other lanes like you have, you go into their triangle like you have. Like you're doing it all correct, but you're also winning these games by like 4K net worth at 12 minutes. So
yeah,
the concern I have is more so if it wasn't as straightforward. That's what I'm concerned about. So
okay,
let's keep fast forwarding it. We're gonna talk about items and stuff when we see it. So the funny thing about this game, how do I word this? I want you to act like my mouse covers your entire hero portrait, okay?
Okay.
You can see my mouse, right?
I don't think I can.
You can't see
yeah.
You can see it up here, right?
I can. Okay, yeah, no, I see it, yeah.
Okay. Yep. So let's just act like your hero's gone, okay?
Okay.
So I need you to tell me what the other 4 heroes do on your team.
Okay.
For like the game plan. Like 15 minutes plus. Now that you guys are like grouping up, name strengths of these 4 heroes.
Okay, so Shaman and I push towers a lot with his snakes when they're up.
The other 4 heroes. Your hero does not exist, my friend.
Okay, but just Shaman by himself though can take towers, right?
Okay.
Storm is a threat for people that are caught out.
Okay.
PL is good for team fights. Tree, I don't know in this matchup how to really, what I would say about him, but is that what you're looking for?
Okay. No, it's fine. It's funny. Everyone thinks about Dota in their own little bubble. It's just kind of how it is. It's not a problem. I just need to hear your bubble to know who I'm talking to. So here's what I look at when I see heroes. Okay, I think of tower push, which you mentioned. I think of kill threat, which you mentioned. But then I think of how these heroes scale, and this is something that a lot of people don't think of. Okay, so what type of farm do Storm and PL like to take, like on the map?
So PL would probably farm safer, right? Triangle or lane farm.
Cool. What about Storm?
Storm can be more, take the more forward farm like I can.
Okay. So if both of you are capable of taking the more forward farm, which one would show on lanes? Ideally.
Once I have BKB, I can show wherever I want to, but probably initially it's probably safer for him to show, I think.
So, how do I word this?
Well,
I don't want you to think about who's safer to show. I want you to think that if they see one of you and don't see the other, what that means to them.
Okay. Yeah.
So,
if
from the opponent's perspective, who would they rather know the location of?
Storm, yeah, because he's got global presence. Yeah.
Okay. So who should be showing on Creepways?
I should then.
Okay. This is like a tangent, but I had to go on it. So that's a first step. So what that tells me is PL's taking safer farm. We have two heroes that can play up in their face. I'm the one that should be showing on lane. And that's how I'm going to play. So the way I think the map should be played is that you farm somewhere near Storm because you can apply a lot of lane pressure and you can apply a lot of overall up in their face. But then if somebody's there, it's actually his job to kill them, right? Like, meaning, you'll be there, you're going to bug them, so on and so forth. But with this formula, what is your contribution to this game?
So pushing lanes, causing rotations, and then once we have team fights, adding damage.
I'm looking at your other four heroes, and I'll ask you, do you need damage?
Yeah, you're right. They've got enough damage with PL and Storm.
Okay. So if we're looking at the opponent heroes, and we're also looking at your heroes, what might you need against theirs that your team doesn't have?
We've got some lockdown already.
Okay.
We don't have silence. Sometimes they'll build an Orchid, or turn into Bloodthorn. I guess I could always add more armor. What do you think?
Somebody in chat said sustain.
Okay, sustain, all right.
I straight up believe this game, you were supposed to go like Urn instead of Falcon Blade, and you were supposed to go like Hood Vlad's. Like that's what I think was your build this game. Because I know you're in low MMRs, but we're gonna start talking about itemization. So it looks like from what I've seen in the two games that you kind of just rinse and repeat the same items. That's fine. Like it's not like this build's bad on Weaver, right? Like if you look at this build on Weaver, I'm never going to be like, report this fucker. Like, you could do this build in any game, and I may say, it's not optimal, but I'm never going to report you for doing it. Okay? So, but that's the way we think as like 2 or 3K players. So if you're going to be playing offlane, and you're going to be playing Weaver, the reason why Weaver can theoretically work as an offlaner is that his toolkit is really nice for the map. Meaning that as long as you can kind of run around Sakuchiing, you don't really need any items to play the map. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you can farm creeps, you can push in lanes, you can set up rotations. So it's like, if you had a mid laner like a DK that represents a stun and tower push, but not very much damage, that's when you're supposed to go like Maelstrom or Deso, right? Like, that's when you go for the Maelstrom Deso route. But when you have so much damage on your team, and they also have a ton of nukes, like Spectre to everybody, Zeus to everybody, CM Kunkka AoE, right? And I just look at PL Storm and I say, they just need a team player. Like, those two heroes are incredibly selfish, right? Like, their items are their items. Like, they help nobody but themselves, right? Like PL builds diffusals and mantas, Storm Spirit buys like Orchid and a Bloodstone. Like none of this shit helps any of you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's fine. Like I'm not saying that's wrong of them to do that, but there needs to be some semblance of a balance between selflessness and selfishness in a lineup. So
Okay.
when you're Weaver, I want you to think of the potential of as long as you can play the map, meaning you're survivable enough to run around Sakuchi'd, what else could your team need in actual fights? Right? Like, and if, like, honestly, the Deso, it's like nice in theory, but I would love to just see you be full health, full mana, and be unfucking killable. Like, if you're unkillable, you'll win this game.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? Like, all these times you've died, it's not because you, like, lacked the damage to kill the guy. It's because you got, like, bursted down before you could cast time-lapse. So it's like if you had Urn in a hood with the Treads, Wand, Wraithband, and you're just, like, running around, with 1,300 health and a hood, like, you're not going to die. You're never going to die to these heroes on the Dire lineup. So with Weaver as an offlaner, I want you to first, it's the same category as the disaster aversion in lane. It's like at the 8-minute mark, or like I'd say maybe 10-minute mark plus, because that's when you're probably going to start leaving your lane, somewhere around there, maybe a bit earlier. You just need to be able to Sakuchi and run around and not die. And whatever items help you do that, whether it's sustain, durability, whatever, just that's what you should buy. Like that's actually the items you should buy. So I would love to see next time you come back, there's a couple things I really want to focus on. One, you and your support being able to tell me how much you talked about like coordinating your assaults, as well as like thought about the 2v2s, the 1v1s, the 1v2s, okay? But then also for yourself as a player, telling me how you thought you could, like, what could go wrong in this lane, and then translating that into this part of the game, like where you say, what could go wrong in this game? I think the way you've played the map is fine, but you have 4 deaths, right? Like, you do have 4 deaths in a, quite frankly, really hard to die Weaver game. It's like the one where you died to the Pudge Hook because it did a bajillion damage. It's like, even if you had itemized correctly, you may just die to that because you don't know the matchup or whatever. But, like, and that's going to happen. Shit like that's going to happen. But maybe if you had 2 deaths, you'll just have more net worth. You'll have more impact in the game. And the fact is, this isn't the type of impact that you have to have. Like, you don't have to have damage impact in this game. Like, that's the cool thing about offlane that I loved, and it's the hardest part about offlane, is you just need to fill in the gaps. Carry heroes build kind of linear items. Like, most of the time, the build for PL is pretty much always the same. The build for Anti-Mage, Troll, it's like maybe they'll go Maelstrom instead of Fury. It's like, that's like the variation on carries, right? So for you, whatever carry you got, you can usually look at him and say, this is what that guy's going to offer. Right? Sometimes they'll do some weird shit. But as an offlaner, you can just be like, we kind of lack damage this game. I'm going Deso. We kind of lack sustain. I'm going Urn Vlads. We kind of lack somebody that can run in. I'm just tanking up. I'm going Hood SNY. It's like, I'm just fucking running in, or whatever. Like, I actually think this game, you could get away with not going BKB. Because their only disable is Pudge. That stops you from pushing R. Right? Like, I think you could go, like, Hood, Sanj, and Yasha and just run around and just be, like, super fucking obnoxious and really never die. And the thing is, you don't have to do some crazy fucking damage. I would say your job this game is to draw attention to yourself and then not die. And it's like, if you're Sakuchi'd on top of those heroes with bugs on them, they can't ignore your existence. You will kill a CM and a Zeus and a Pudge if they're bugged with whatever fucking items you have. Like, it doesn't matter, right? You could be hitting them with no damage items and they'll die. Because they'll drop to half and then your Storm will just push R and, be right on top of them. So this is the part where I asked somebody, like, what does your team lack? And a lot of people miss the sustain aspect. Every carry has issues. Like Lifestealer, for instance, he doesn't have sustain issues. He has like catch mobility issues. Like he wants somebody to infest and then he wants to be able to hit somebody, right? So I need an offlaner that whatever hero it is helps me get in there. That's what I need from my offlaner.
Okay.
And it's like, but if I'm a PL, I have all these items that make my illusions do more damage, but until I have a heart, I kind of lack sustain and I lack durability, and I want to take the safe farm. So what I need is someone that helps a little bit with sustain and runs the fuck in on the map. Not like in fights, but on the map. Because like eventually he's gonna run in for you. You see, like, you know what I'm saying? Like he's gonna be the 3-4 slotted PL that they can't fucking kill anymore. But that part of the game is pretty hard to understand. So we're now like, you told me you want to talk a little bit about like mid to late game itemization and stuff. So what I want to get to, if like as you come back, this is initiating our, here's a little bit of your homework. Let's get you thinking about things you've never thought about before.
Okay.
But after that, this is the kind of stuff where I just need to let you play it out for like obviously about a month, and you just come back to me with your findings. You know, you're going into the archaeological dig site and you're just going to tell me what you found. And I think you got a lot of things right. The way you play the map, you should be confident about. The way you play the lane aggressively, you should be confident about. But the tools you give yourself to do it, the raindrops in lane, making sure you cast bugs once you've already committed, the itemization at this stage, that's the stuff that can be refined. Yeah, you already mentioned tread switching. Yeah, you're going to die to some random bad matchups that you don't remember or like you don't know. But if we can get down your own refinement here, you will just climb. Like I always tell people, you don't have to play at 9K level to win your games. You just have to play better than 2.5K. So we are about there in terms of time. So my question would be, is there something, I'm going to keep watching for a bit, but do you have any final questions that like you came into the session thinking I really wanted to hear about this and then didn't?
No, man, this is huge. I got so much to take away for homework, so I'm excited to put this in practice and come back in a month and get some more tips.
Okay, so let's just watch like a few more minutes of where you play this out, but I feel confident that you'll have a clear path of improvement to go towards from here.
Okay,
that's awesome. Usually all I'm trying to accomplish in a coaching session. Because I'm like, okay, I know what that guy kind of has to do to get better at Dove.
Yeah, so quick question. When I play my Q matches I play my we have the Q matches back when you play all hero positions, and when I get pause 5, I played Jakiro and I try and practice what you played in your Smurf games, whatever. And so I'm doing okay there. When I play pause 4, I'll do Jakiro sometimes. I don't have a lot of impact though. How do you feel about Weaver as a pause 4, or what's another good hero I should practice for pause 4? Just when I'm playing those Q matches.
I think the most similar pause 4 to Weaver is Mirana.
Okay.
She plays the map very similarly the way you just did, where you farmed out this area and then pushed in the lane. And she has like a bit of mobility. She has a semblance of a survival or of a wave clear with you have Sakuchi. She has Starstorm, and she has Invis. She's very similar to Weaver in how she plays the map. I would say, other than the invasion of the triangle portion, she's pretty much the same.
Okay.
So I would recommend, since you play a lot of Weaver, I would say Mirana first. I think what people actually underestimate is that when they play a new hero, a lot of it's that they just don't know how to play the map. Like, you don't realize how much you know about Weaver playing the map here. Like, this is probably the equivalent of like a 5 to 6K level of understanding the map on Weaver specifically. It's like, you play the map correctly. Like, this is how you're supposed to play the map on Weaver. But like, if I were to have like a 4K player who's really never played Weaver before, they wouldn't play the map as well as you are. Like, they wouldn't, because they just don't know Weaver very well. So when I recommend, if you're going to play other positions due to roll queue or whatever, you actually, anyone at home, you guys should look for heroes that play the map similarly. It's not always easy to know what those heroes are, but obviously we're in a coaching session, so I can just tell you real quick. Mirana's nice, a little bit of mobility. Puck would be similar. Play the map very, very much similar to Weaver and Mirana. Is there anything else really? Like, I think those two are the best in terms of how similar they are. They're also pretty meta right
Okay.
now. But yeah, so I can tell you've played a lot of Weaver. It's just like this kind of stuff, it looks like it comes naturally to you. The way you think about the game needs work. But if you think of if like you can get to where you are on Weaver, not like having the tools to think about the game quite right yet, that just tells me that you know specifically a shit ton about Weaver. Like that's like always the conclusion I can draw. So the cool thing is if we can get these other things down to apply perfectly on Weaver, you'll be amazed how much your hero pool will work better, even if you don't play the heroes very often, if you just have a general idea of like the game scope that you learned playing Weaver.
Okay.
So
Yeah. Awesome.
that'll be kind of I'll be fascinated to see where that one goes. But no, I see the natural progression has been about this like same. It's like deja vu watching this game to the first one, the way you play the map when you're winning. So usually 2 is enough of a sample size for me to trust that you guys like will consistently do it. Yeah, so thanks for signing up, buddy. If you have any major questions, you're always able to hit me up real quick, and I'll usually respond. So
Cool.
best of luck, man. I'll see you next month, I guess.
All right, man. Yeah. Thank you. It's been awesome.